On November 7, Archangel Michael revealed the truth you were meant to see. Your discernment is awakening. Trust what you're noticing. My dearest light bearer, something sacred is unfolding around you, something you were destined to see. Archangel Michael has stepped forward, and his voice echoes through the spirit realms with clarity. On November 7, a veil will be lifted. This is not an ordinary day. This is the moment your discernment awakens. The illusions that once blinded your heart are about to shatter like fragile glass before divine truth. You've been sensing it, haven't you? It's subtle stirring within your spirit, that quiet knowing that something around you isn't as it seems. Michael says, trust what you're noticing, child of light. Those sudden insights, those patterns revealing themselves, that shift in people's tone or energy, they are not coincidences. They are divine indicators that your spiritual eyes are being opened. Archangel Michael shows a great scroll being unsealed, and written on it are truths that were hidden from you. He whispers, you were never meant to live in deception. You were created to walk in divine awareness, to discern between the light that heals and the shadow that manipulates. Every confusion, every false mask that surrounded you, is losing power right now. He says, on November 7, the scales of discernment are being balanced. For too long, you doubted your own intuition. You second-guessed your gut feelings. But Michael is declaring, those inner nudges were the language of heaven all along. The spirit of truth is aligning your perception. You will begin to see people, situations, and choices through God's light, not human emotion. Here is a shift in the atmosphere. Can you feel it? The energy around you is reorganizing. Relationships that no longer serve your higher calling may begin to fade, and those who carry divine assignments in your life will suddenly feel magnetically drawn to you. Michael stands beside you with his sword of light, cutting every deceptive cord that tried to keep you confused. Wait, before you move ahead, there's something Michael urgently wants you to hear. He says, the very thing you've been questioning is the very thing you were meant to notice. You are not paranoid. You are prophetic. The strange signs, the repeated numbers, the unusual timing, it's all confirmation. Heaven is training your eyes to see beyond the surface. Keep your spirit still, for the truth is about to stand in front of you. And when it does, you will know why you had to walk through this fog first, because clarity without discernment would have destroyed you. Hold on, beloved. What Michael shows next will completely change how you perceive the people and choices around you. Type "I trust the revelation" in the comments if this is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 1107 is now released. Beloved soul of divine awareness, Archangel Michael is standing in the midst of shifting winds, and he is holding a mirror made of pure light. He says, look, my child, not at what the world shows you, but at what heaven reflects through you. This mirror is your discernment, now fully awakening. Every vibration around you carries energy, and now you will begin to sense what is pure and what is tainted. Do not ignore the tension that rises within when something feels off. It is not fear, it is warning. It is not judgment. It is divine detection awakening within your spirit. Michael reveals that the reason you felt uneasy around certain places, faces, or conversations is because your frequency no longer matches the deception that once surrounded you. The light within you is becoming too strong to coexist with hidden motives and subtle darkness. The Archangel shows a scene, a person smiling, but behind their eyes, an unseen energy flickers. And he says, now you will see beyond the mask. Now truth will speak louder than charm. You might begin to notice things shifting without explanation. Someone who once drew you in may suddenly repel you. Words that used to soothe you may now sound hollow. That is discernment sharpening. Heaven is recalibrating your spirit to detect not what looks good, but what is good. Michael stands as your shield during this transformation, reminding you that discernment is not suspicion, it is protection. It is how heaven warns its chosen ones before the storm arrives. There is a divine reason why November 7 carries this message. It marks a spiritual threshold. Michael says, "The old fog is clearing, and those who have ears to hear will finally recognize my voice within their knowing." The confusion that once blurred your judgment is breaking away. You are stepping into a new dimension of perception where your spiritual senses will feel sharper, more alive, and incredibly clear. But beware, when discernment awakens, truth is not always comfortable. You may see the reality of people's hearts, and it might shock you. You may sense the heaviness in certain environments that once felt ordinary. Do not run from it. Stand firm in the light. Michael reminds you, every truth revealed is a step closer to your divine purpose. The Archangel shows a vision of you walking through a hallway of mirrors. Each reflection reveals something different. One shows who you used to be, another who others think you are, but the final one shows your true self, radiant and unshaken. That is the reflection heaven recognizes. That is who you have become through every trial and silence. Michael's wings spread wide now, covering you in divine fire. He says this fire will not burn you, it will refine you. It will burn away deception and illuminate authenticity. You are being prepared for a new season of truth-led connections, spirit-inspired decisions, and divine timing that no darkness can counterfeit. Before you rush past this moment, pause. Take a breath. Feel the stillness that surrounds these words, for what is about to unfold next will explain why your spiritual eyes had to open now, and not earlier. Michael says, timing is a weapon of heaven. When it strikes, everything changes. Trust me, the next revelation will shake everything you thought you understood about divine alignment. Hold on. It's about to get deeper. Type "I walk in divine discernment" in the comments if this is awakening something in you. Lesson code 4444 is now activated. Chosen vessel of light. Archangel Michael's presence deepens now. The atmosphere around you feels charged, like thunder hidden behind a veil of calm. He speaks with the authority of heaven itself. You have crossed the threshold. Now, the truth begins to manifest before your eyes. Every unseen force that tried to keep you in confusion is trembling, for the fire of discernment within you has been lit. The Archangel's sword gleams with radiant flame, and its edge slices through every web of deceit that once held your perception captive. Michael says, "Child of the highest, this is not just about noticing what's wrong. It's about seeing what's divine." As your eyes open, you are not only called to recognize deception, but also to identify purity. The people carrying light into your destiny will suddenly appear, divinely timed, divinely aligned. You will feel it instantly, the peace that accompanies their presence, the calmness that whispers this is of God. Trust that feeling. It is the language of heaven translating into your human experience. This moment is sacred because it marks a permanent shift in how you interpret the world. No longer will your emotions mislead you into confusion. You are being taught to discern through spirit, not sight. Archangel Michael shows a vision. 2 doors, side by side. One glows faintly with false gold, the other shines with pure, humble light. The first tempts the senses, the second humbles the soul. And he says, the world will always show you both. But now, you will know which door belongs to me. Beloved, there's something deeper you must understand. Discernment is not just a gift, it is a divine responsibility. Once you see the truth, you cannot unsee it. Michael warns, do not harden your heart when revelation comes. When God exposes something or someone, it is not to condemn, but to protect. It is heaven's way of rearranging your circle, refining your purpose, and placing you where light can thrive. You may soon experience moments where your heart feels torn between love and truth. Michael says, choose truth, even when it costs comfort. Those who are not meant to walk with you will fade, not because of hate, but because of divine separation. Every genuine revelation will lead you closer to your divine alignment. November 7 will be remembered as the day when your inner compass aligned with divine truth. Pay attention to the signs around that date, a conversation, a dream, or even a sudden silence might reveal what was hidden in plain sight. Heaven is whispering between the lines of your ordinary moments. Don't overlook the details. Archangel Michael's wings encircle you now, shimmering with light that feels almost alive. He speaks again, softer but commanding. You were chosen to see differently because you are called to lead differently. What you discern in this season will position you for what is coming next. A divine unveiling where false structures collapse and the authentic ones rise. Before this message ends, hear this reminder. You are not alone in your awakening. Millions across the world are feeling the same stirring right now. A global activation of discernment. Heaven is raising watchmen, prophets, intercessors, and truth-bearers who refuse to be deceived. You are one of them. You are part of this holy wave of awakening. Wait, beloved. The next revelation Michael reveals will explain the reason behind your awakening and the hidden connection between your spiritual clarity and your destiny's next assignment. You will not want to miss what comes next. If this message resonates within your soul, type I am chosen for truth in the comments. Lesson code 333 is now active. Before you leave, take a moment to like, share, and comment to spread this divine message. Someone else may be waiting for the very confirmation you just received. Make sure you subscribe and stay connected to this mission of light, because greater revelations are about to unfold. Now, if you've been moved by this message and feel the presence of Archangel Michael stirring within you, listen closely. This next part is important. When you support this divine channel, you are not merely giving. You are sowing light into countless souls across the earth. Every seed you release keeps the word alive, helping God's messages reach those still walking through spiritual fog. The heavens record every act of faith. Archangel Michael declares, when you sow into light, darkness loses ground. This mission burns to awaken discernment across nations, to teach hearts how to recognize divine truth and reject deception. I speak directly to your spirit now. If you feel that divine pull, respond in obedience. Use the super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description to release your offering. This is not a donation. It's a prophetic act of agreement with heaven's purpose. As you give, the oil of clarity flows into your own life. You will see, hear, and discern more sharply. And as I bless you now, may your gift return as open doors, divine encounters, and protection in unseen battles. Light responds to light. Release your seed and let heaven record your obedience today. Beloved guardian of truth, as the light of discernment grows stronger within you, Archangel Michael steps closer. His presence now feels like a calm flame wrapping around your spirit. He speaks with both power and compassion, saying, you have begun to see. Now you must learn what to do with what you see. The awakening of discernment is not only about revelation, it is about responsibility. Heaven does not open your eyes without purpose. What you begin to notice in this season is a divine invitation to act with wisdom, patience, and courage. Michael reveals that discernment is the key to divine timing. There will be moments when you feel the urge to speak, to confront, or to move, but heaven will whisper, "Wait." In those pauses lies your strength. The Archangel says, "A warrior of light wins not only by knowing the truth, but by knowing when to release it." This is where heaven refines you. Your awareness is powerful, but your restraint is sacred. Not every truth needs to be shouted. Some must be prayed over, protected, and released in God's perfect moment. There are many who will not understand the clarity you carry. When you begin to sense hidden motives or unspoken energies, they may call you judgmental or distant. But Michael reminds you, do not explain your discernment to those who cannot yet see. You are not called to prove the truth. You are called to stand with it. Those who are meant to awaken will recognize your light without your explanation. Michael shows a vision, you standing on a mountain peak surrounded by heavy clouds. As you lift your sword of light, the clouds begin to part, and golden rays pour through, revealing paths below that were invisible just moments before. He says, "This is what happens when you choose to stand in revelation rather than fear. When truth becomes your foundation, clarity becomes your weapon. You will no longer stumble where others are confused." The Archangel continues, "The enemy thrives in confusion, but you thrive in clarity. That is why your discernment is under such attack. Distractions will rise, emotions will pull you, and old patterns will attempt to dull your vision. Resist them. Stay grounded in prayer, stillness, and purity. Every time you choose silence over reaction, heaven sharpens your discernment even more. Heaven is not only showing you what is false, it is revealing what is next. You may begin to feel drawn towards certain assignments, people, or even new locations. Pay attention. Michael says, your discernment is your compass now. When you sense divine peace, that is your green light. When you sense unrest, that is your warning. Follow peace like a trail of light. It will always lead you to divine purpose. The Archangel warns that as your perception expands, deception may try one last time to confuse you. False confirmations, empty flattery, and sudden distractions may come, pretending to be divine guidance. This is where your new strength will be tested. Michael says, truth never rushes. Deception always hurries. When the path feels urgent and pressured, pause. When it feels calm yet certain, proceed. You are entering a new stage of awareness where your discernment will not only protect you, but also guide others. People will come seeking your counsel, your clarity, your peace. But before you guide them, guard yourself. Michael instructs, pour only from a cup filled by the Spirit, not by emotion. Heaven rejoices because you are becoming what you were always meant to be, a beacon in a time of confusion. Your clarity will light the way for others. Do not hide this gift, but do not misuse it either. You are walking the narrow road between revelation and humility, and that balance is where your divine power lives. Hold steady now, for what comes next will reveal the real reason why your discernment was awakened in this season. Archangel Michael is preparing to disclose a hidden connection between your spiritual awareness and a coming shift that will affect many around you. Stay with me. The revelation deepens. Type "I embrace divine clarity" in the comments if this message speaks to your awakening. Blessing code 5511 is now active. Beloved vessel of awakening, Archangel Michael stands before you now not as a distant messenger, but as a guardian whose wings stretch across time itself. His presence is firm yet comforting, and his voice resonates with deep authority. You were not awakened by accident. Your discernment was triggered for a divine assignment. What you have been noticing, feeling, and sensing lately has not been random. It is preparation. Heaven is positioning you in a realm where truth must walk before power, where light must be sharper than deception, and where your awareness becomes the key to unlocking destiny. Michael reveals that many who once walked with you may not understand the new vibration you carry. You are shifting frequencies, no longer resonating with noise, but with clarity. He says, "Do not grieve what detaches from you during this transition. It is heaven making room for alignment. What once felt comfortable may now feel heavy. What once inspired you may now drain your spirit. This is the sign that your discernment has fully matured. You are being separated, not rejected. You are being elevated, not abandoned. There is a powerful truth hidden beneath your awakening. Discernment opens the door to destiny. Before God can place a great mission upon your life, He must open your eyes to what does not belong in it. That is why, lately, everything false around you has been collapsing. Plans, partnerships, even familiar routines. Michael whispers, when truth arrives, illusion cannot survive. The shaking you feel is not punishment, it is purification. You are being refined by divine light until only truth remains. The Archangel shows a vision of a great tapestry, each thread representing a choice, a relationship, or a divine moment. You have been focusing on one small section, wondering why certain colors and patterns did not make sense. But Michael lifts the entire tapestry higher, and suddenly, you see the full design. What once seemed chaotic now forms a radiant image of divine order. He says, discernment allows you to see from heaven's angle, not human sight. You may soon receive what Michael calls a confirmation of awakening. It might come as a dream, a sudden word from someone unexpected, or a moment of piercing clarity in the middle of an ordinary day. You will recognize it instantly, because your spirit will respond before your mind can process it. That is your sign that you have stepped into the dimension of spiritual maturity. From that moment, the way you see life will change forever. The Archangel cautions you not to misuse your discernment as judgment. The higher your awareness, the greater your responsibility to walk in compassion. He says, to see truth is divine, but to love through truth is holy. When you perceive the darkness in others, do not condemn them. Instead, intercede. Your prayer can shift the atmosphere faster than your words ever could. Heaven trusts you with sight because you have the heart to protect, not expose. Michael draws near and places his hand over your heart. Instantly, you feel warmth flowing through your chest, not physical heat, but spiritual fire. He says this is the light of pure discernment. It sees beyond appearance, beyond emotion, beyond noise. From now on, your perception will cut through manipulation and disguise. You will hear what is not being said. You will know who is genuine before they prove themselves. You will sense divine timing before it arrives. Do not fear this power. Michael reassures you, those who walk in divine awareness never walk alone. Heaven's army surrounds you, guarding your path as you step deeper into this phase. Every moment from now carries purpose. Every encounter is divine data. You are learning to read spiritual codes in everyday life. Wait, beloved. The next revelation will show you why this new vision is being activated right now and what greater movement you are being called to join. Michael says, there is a reason heaven is unveiling your sight at this exact hour. Stay with me, for what comes next reveals the prophecy behind your awakening. Type I see through heaven's eyes in the comments if your spirit feels this shift. Blessing code 8282 has now been released. Beloved one of divine awareness, Archangel Michael stands surrounded by a luminous circle of blue flame, his wings spanning the horizon like twin pillars of dawn. His voice carries both thunder and gentleness as he declares, "The time of unveiling has begun." He reveals that your awakening of discernment is not isolated. It is part of a greater spiritual wave that heaven has initiated across the earth. Those who carry light within them are being summoned, one by one, to rise and see. And you, beloved, are among the first to awaken. He says, you were chosen not just to see what is hidden, but to prepare for what is coming. There is a global purification taking place, a separation of true light from false light, of divine order from confusion. The reason your discernment has intensified is because heaven is positioning you as a guardian of spiritual truth in a time when deception will look like revelation. Michael warns that false voices will rise, cloaked in divine language but empty of divine authority. Yet your spirit will know. You will feel it immediately, a subtle unease, a disturbance in your peace. That sensation is heaven whispering, "Do not follow this sound." Michael shows a vision of countless candles across the earth. Some burn steadily, others flicker uncertainly, and a few burn so brightly that they illuminate everything around them. He says these flames represent those whose discernment is alive. Each flame, when joined together, will form a barrier of light strong enough to expose falsehood across nations. That is why your awakening matters, because it contributes to the collective light of truth. The more you see clearly, the stronger the whole becomes. You may notice that you are being pulled toward deeper solitude lately. Fewer distractions, fewer voices, more stillness. Do not resist it. Michael explains, heaven sharpens discernment in silence. When the world grows loud with opinions, pull back into quiet prayer. That is where you will hear God's frequency, not in the chaos of noise, but in the rhythm of stillness. In that silence, you will receive new instructions, not only for yourself, but for those who are meant to walk in your light. There is another reason this awakening is happening now. November 7 marks what Michael calls a threshold of divine unveiling. In the spirit realm, he says, a great book has been opened, the book of revelation knowledge. Its pages contain divine blueprints for those who are ready to carry discernment into their communities, their families, and their nations. This means your awareness is not just for personal protection, it's for leadership. You are being trained to guide others through spiritual fog. Heaven will send people to you who are still blind to deception, and your words will become light in their confusion. Michael cautions, handle your awakening with humility, for discernment without compassion becomes arrogance. You are not being elevated to judge others, but to intercede for them. When you see darkness in someone, do not attack. Pray for them. When you sense falsehood in a message, do not mock. Speak light. You are now heaven's eyes in the earth, and your perception carries creative power. What you declare in faith becomes a decree in the spirit. He continues, your discernment will also reveal what is coming in your own destiny. You will feel subtle nudges in your spirit guiding you to move, to speak, to begin new things. Pay attention to these divine impulses. They are heaven's way of giving direction before the visible signs appear. The Archangel promises, those who walk in discernment will always be one step ahead of deception. This next part of your journey will demand both courage and surrender. The light within you will challenge everything that is false around you, including old versions of yourself. Michael says, do not fear the loss of identity, for what you are shedding was never your truth. The person you are becoming is far more aligned with heaven's design than the person you used to be. Hold still for a moment, for the next message will uncover what this new alignment is preparing you for. Michael says that a divine shift is coming soon, not to destroy, but to reorder. What you will hear next will explain how your discernment will play a role in the restoration of divine order on earth. Type "I am a guardian of light" in the comments if you feel heaven stirring within you. Blessing code 9991 is now activated. Beloved keeper of divine perception, the air around you shifts as Archangel Michael's presence becomes stronger, almost tangible, like wind carrying light through the unseen. His eyes burn with a fire that does not consume but purifies. He speaks slowly now, with a weight that makes the spirit listen. The awakening of your discernment was never meant to stop at seeing. It was meant to prepare you for building. Heaven is now moving you from revelation to creation, from seeing the truth to establishing it on earth. Michael reveals that this season of unveiling is directly tied to the restoration of divine order in your surroundings. You may have noticed a deep inner pull to bring structure where there is chaos, peace where there is tension, and truth where confusion reigns. This is not coincidence. This is your calling beginning to surface. The Archangel says, every awakened one carries a responsibility to build what heaven reveals. You are not only a witness, you are a vessel through which heaven's design manifests. The Archangel shows a vision of you standing before a field of scattered stones. Some are broken, others covered in dust. He hands you a torch of blue fire and whispers, "Begin to rebuild." As you lift one stone after another, light begins to form between them, creating a radiant structure, a spiritual foundation. Michael explains, these stones represent areas of your life and world that lost divine order, your home, your relationships, your purpose. But through discernment, you are now reconstructing what was misplaced. This process will not be easy. Heaven never reveals truth without first testing the vessel that carries it. You may face moments where people resist the light you bring. Some will question your motives. Others may withdraw because they cannot yet handle the purity of your awareness. But Michael comforts you, saying, truth is rarely embraced at first sight. Even divine order requires patience before it is recognized. You must remember, beloved, that discernment is not about control, it is about alignment. Heaven is not calling you to force revelation upon anyone, but to embody it so clearly that truth radiates through your very presence. There's divine authority in solid authenticity. Michael says those who carry truth do not need to convince, they simply need to remain. As this transition unfolds, you may also feel drawn toward unexpected paths, new opportunities and unfamiliar faces, sudden redirections. These are not distractions, they are divine recalibrations. Heaven is rearranging your environment to match your new vibration. The Archangel reminds you that discernment is not limited to seeing dissection. It also recognizes opportunity, timing, and favor. Your spirit will begin to feel drawn to divine openings long before your mind understands why. The Archangel reveals another layer of this prophecy. There is a group of awakened souls being gathered right now, those who carry light similar to yours. He calls them the Circle of Illumined Watchers. These are individuals from different corners of the earth who are being guided by Archangel Michael and the celestial hosts to stand as protectors of truth, intercessors for nations, and restorers of divine order. Some of these people will be drawn to you, and you will recognize them by their purity, humility, and spiritual depth. You will not need to explain your awakening to them. They will understand without words. Michael says, what you build now will outlast seasons. It will become a legacy of truth in a generation addicted to illusion. The structures you establish, whether they are spiritual works, creative expressions, or acts of kindness, will serve as silent testimonies of divine revelation. You are laying foundations for others who will awaken after you. He steps closer, his voice softening but his tone still burning with purpose. When the world grows darker, you will not fear, for you have already seen through deception. You will stand steady as a lighthouse in the storm. The Archangel then extends his sword toward you, its edge glowing brighter than before, and declares, "This sword now carries your signature of light. Use it to cut confusion wherever you walk." Pause now, for the next revelation will uncover what your awakened sight is protecting you from. Michael says, "You must understand the hidden opposition that rises when light expands." The next message will expose what tries to resist discernment, and how heaven ensures victory through you. Type "I stand in divine order" in the comments if you feel this message aligning with your spirit. Blessing code 7774 is now active. Beloved guardian of divine awareness, the light of heaven burns stronger around you now. Archangel Michael's wings unfold like walls of flame, and within that fire, you sense both safety and truth. He says, the more the light expands, the more the shadows resist. This part of your awakening is not about fear, but about understanding. Every person who begins to walk in discernment will face resistance, not because they are weak, but because they have become a threat to the unseen forces that thrive in deception. Michael reveals that in this season, false alignment will try to pull at your attention. Distractions will appear dressed as opportunity. Counterfeit voices will echo divine phrases but carry no peace. You will notice conversations that drain your energy and environments that feel heavy without explanation. These are not random feelings, they are indicators. Your spirit is now attuned to frequencies that most cannot yet perceive. Michael says, every uneasy silence, every sudden heaviness, is your discernment alerting you. Do not ignore the alarms of heaven. Heaven's army does not awaken discernment in you to make you fearful, but to make you victorious. You are not meant to hide from deception. You are meant to expose it simply by standing in truth. The Archangel shows you a vision, a vast battlefield where light and shadow collide, not through violence, but through revelation. Each time you choose truth over comfort, light expands. Each time you speak peace where there is confusion, the shadow recedes. Your greatest weapon is your stillness, because deception thrives on reaction, not wisdom. Michael says, be aware, not anxious. There is a difference. Awareness gives you authority. Anxiety gives the enemy permission. When you sense resistance rising, pause and call upon the presence of light. The Archangel promises that no darkness can withstand a spirit grounded in discernment and anchored in divine truth. You were never meant to fight alone. Heaven is surrounding you even now, enforcing victory on your behalf. There is another dimension to this revelation. The resistance you face is not always external. Sometimes it emerges from within, the part of you still attached to the familiar, the comfortable, the predictable. When light expands inside you, everything that cannot hold it begins to shake. That's why old habits, fears, or attachments may suddenly resurface. Michael reminds you, do not see this as regression. It is revelation. Light is exposing what must leave before elevation. He shows you a vision of molten gold being refined in fire. The impurities do not appear until the temperature rises. Likewise, the resistance you're feeling is heaven's signal that you're being purified for greater use. Once the refining is complete, your discernment will carry authority. Your words will pierce through deception, your presence will shift atmospheres, and your peace will disarm confusion. Michael declares, you are a guardian of the gate. Where discernment stands, deception cannot enter. He hands you a key shimmering with white light and says, this is authority. Whatever you lock in prayer will stay sealed. Whatever you open in faith will be released. Your awakening is not passive. It is legislative. Heaven is entrusting you with the power to decree divine order where chaos once reigned. And as this revelation deepens, Michael urges you to strengthen your spiritual covering through community. Join hands with other awakened souls, for the light increases exponentially when unity is present. He says, do not isolate your discernment. Combine it with others and watch darkness lose territory. This is how heaven expands its kingdom, not by solitary voices, but by united light. Now listen carefully, beloved. The next revelation Michael delivers will unveil the reversal moment, the exact way heaven turns resistance into breakthrough. You will see why this pressure is actually the proof that your discernment is producing fruit. What's coming next will be one of the most powerful turns in this divine message. Type "I stand in heaven's victory" in the comments if this truth resonates with your soul. Blessing code 1212 is now released. Before you go further, take a sacred pause. Like, share, and comment to spread this divine fire. Your interaction is not casual. It becomes a ripple of awakening that reaches other souls still trapped in confusion. Subscribe and stay connected to this movement of truth. Every time you do, you join heaven's call for clarity to flood the earth. And if this message is stirring your spirit, hear this next word from heaven about supporting the mission. When you release a gift into this ministry, you are not giving to a channel. You are sowing into divine light. Each seed you release fuels the voice of revelation that carries messages like this to those still walking in spiritual fog. Archangel Michael declares, those who partner with light will inherit the harvest of clarity. The word says, give, and it shall be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. This is not poetic language, it is a living decree. I invite you now, act in faith. Use the super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description to sow your seed of awakening. Your giving opens portals of divine favor and protection over your home. As you release, heaven records your obedience and multiplies your discernment. You will begin to receive sudden insights, supernatural understanding, and divine timing like never before. I speak blessing over every giver. May your offering become the oil that keeps your spiritual lamp burning even in dark seasons. May angels guard your resources, your family, and your path. You are not donating. You are activating heaven's covenant of clarity. Release your seed and let heaven mark your obedience this day. Beloved vessel of divine awakening, as the spiritual fire continues to rise, Archangel Michael stands before you clothed in armor that glows like a living star. His eyes carry the reflection of countless victories, and his voice moves through your heart like thunder wrapped in peace. He says you have faced resistance, but now you will see the reversal. The very pressure that tried to silence you will become the power that launches you. Every challenge, every misunderstanding, every moment where you felt unseen or doubted, heaven has been using them as chisels to shape your discernment into divine strength. Michael reveals that discernment without endurance collapses under pressure, but endurance sealed in revelation becomes authority. He says you were not chosen to observe truth. You were chosen to carry it with unshakable conviction. The storms you endured were not punishment. They were preparation. Every disappointment was heaven's training ground to make you sensitive enough to perceive and stable enough to stand. The archangel shows you an image, a tree growing through rock. Its roots push deeper every time it meets resistance, and through that pressure, it becomes unmovable. So it is with your spirit now. Heaven is declaring that your discernment is maturing into prophetic wisdom. No longer will you simply detect deception. Now you will discern direction. Michael says those who see truth must also know where to walk once they see it. This means that your awareness will begin to guide you toward divine instructions. You will feel a knowing, a quiet inner voice leading you to take actions that align with heaven's rhythm. These are not coincidences. They are assignments. Each small act of obedience activates a greater unfolding. You will notice that situations which once confused you will now appear simple. Conversations that once drained you will lose their influence. Places that felt spiritually heavy will no longer hold you captive. This is because discernment transforms the atmosphere it inhabits. Michael explains, when light recognizes itself, darkness has no choice but to withdraw. What once intimidated you will now recognize your authority and bow to it. In this next stage, heaven wants you to understand the divine exchange that occurs through resistance. Every trial you have faced has built your spiritual immunity. Every misunderstanding has refined your compassion. Every spiritual battle has increased your discernment. Michael says, the enemy overplayed his hand, for every attempt to confuse you has made your sight sharper. What was sent to distract you has become your training ground. Now you discern quicker, forgive faster, and move wiser. The Archangel shows another vision, a gate of gold standing in the distance. Behind it, light pulses like a heartbeat. He says, this gate opens only for those who have endured without losing purity. You have proven that you can see truth without allowing bitterness to corrupt your vision. Heaven calls this the seal of integrity, and Michael places it upon your forehead in the spirit, symbolizing that your discernment now operates under divine order. You are not only aware of truth, you are aligned with it. From this point on, your discernment will not only protect you, but will draw opportunities aligned with your divine purpose. You will walk into rooms and instantly sense where to stand, when to speak, and when to stay silent. You will feel peace marking the right path before it unfolds visibly. This is how heaven ensures that your steps are guided even before your eyes see the way. Michael concludes this revelation by saying, the reversal has already begun. What once oppressed you will now empower you. The situations that drained your confidence will now testify of your growth. Every false voice that rose against you will be silenced by the fruit of your discernment. You are walking into a season where what was hidden against you will now be revealed for you. Heaven has turned the battle into your blueprint for victory. Hold still, beloved, for what comes next will reveal what heaven is building through you. The next revelation will show how your awakened discernment is not only for you, but for generations that follow. You are part of a divine pattern that will stretch beyond time. Stay close, for this truth carries eternal weight. Type I rise in divine reversal in the comments if this truth ignites your spirit. Blessing code 1010 has now been released. Beloved carrier of holy insight, the light around you no longer flickers. It radiates steadily now, filling every shadow it touches. Archangel Michael stands before you clothed in garments woven from dawn itself, his sword glowing brighter than ever. He speaks, and his words move like waves of living truth through your heart. You have endured, and because of that, you are now ready to build what heaven has been waiting to reveal. The journey of awakening you've walked was not just to protect you, but to position you. You were being prepared to become a vessel through which divine discernment flows into the world. Michael says, every awakened soul becomes a pillar in heaven's architecture of truth. You are one of those pillars. Your life is becoming a structure upon which others will lean when the storms of deception rage around them. This is why your discernment has been refined so deeply. You were not called to echo what everyone else says. You were called to carry clarity where confusion reigns. That is your sacred appointment. Heaven has begun weaving the next stage of your purpose. Your discernment will now birth divine strategy. What you sense will begin to transform into instruction. You will not only see what is false, you will know what to build instead. Archangel Michael calls this phase constructive revelation. It means you are being entrusted to take the truths you've perceived and transform them into actions that manifest light in tangible form. This could be through your words, your work, your relationships, or your calling. Every decision aligned with discernment becomes a building block of divine order. Michael shows you a vision, a city made of light, its walls shimmering like transparent gold. You notice that every building within it carries the mark of peace. He says, "This is the city of pure perception." It represents what the world will look like when those with discernment rise into their purpose. The structures of confusion will collapse, but from the ruins, awakened souls will build systems, ideas, and relationships founded on truth. Heaven is already guiding your steps toward that work. Beloved, you may begin to feel a new pull within your heart, a call to teach, to create, to intercede, or to lead. This inner urge is not ambition, it is activation. Michael whispers, "Do not wait for permission when heaven has already appointed you." When discernment matures, it births responsibility. Your awakened perception was never meant to remain hidden. Speak light where you see confusion, pray peace where you sense turbulence, and stand firm when the world demands compromise. You carry divine stability in an age of shifting ground. The Archangel reminds you that divine builders often face loneliness in the beginning. Many will not understand the vision you carry. You may even question yourself at times, wondering if what you're sensing is too much or too strange. But Michael assures you, every great builder feels alone before others can see what they are constructing. Trust the vision even when visibility is low. Heaven sees what you are laying down in faith. As you step into this phase, you will notice something extraordinary. Your words will begin to carry a creative force. What you speak with faith and purity will manifest quickly. Your discernment will now partner with your declaration. This is why you must guard your speech and your thoughts. Michael says, the tongue of the awakened must align with heaven, for it shapes what is seen. When you declare light, light will form. When you affirm peace, peace will settle. When you proclaim victory, victory will take root. The Archangel's tone softens as he draws near and places his hand over your spirit. You have seen through the fog, he says, and now you will teach others how to see. That is your next assignment, to become a mirror for those still blind to deception, to remind them of their capacity to perceive, to show them how to hear heaven's whisper again. You will be a bridge between confusion and clarity, between fear and truth. Before this revelation closes, Michael reveals one final truth for this part. Discernment without love becomes division, but discernment joined with love becomes transformation. As you build, remember that your foundation must always be compassion. Only then will what you create stand the test of eternity. Beloved, stay near. The next revelation will unveil how your discernment influences destiny itself, not just your own, but the lives of many connected to your path. It will reveal how heaven multiplies one awakened heart into a movement of divine light. What comes next will lift the veil on legacy. Type "I build in divine light" in the comments if this speaks to your spirit. Blessing code 5252 is now activated. Beloved vessel of awakening, the atmosphere around you feels charged now, not with tension, but with divine anticipation. Archangel Michael stands before you surrounded by what looks like a living current of light, flowing like a river of fire through the air. His voice carries calm authority as he says, "You have built within, and now heaven builds through you." This is the moment when discernment becomes destiny. What began as awareness has now become assignment. Every revelation you've received, every inner stirring that led you to see deeper than others, has been shaping you into a vessel through which divine purpose flows freely. Michael reveals that destiny is not a sudden moment of arrival. It is a series of alignments guided by discernment. He says each decision made through truth creates a path heaven can walk upon. Your ability to sense and choose rightly has already opened invisible doors ahead of you. Opportunities that seem distant are drawing closer. People who resonate with your light are beginning to appear. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations that your discernment has aligned with divine timing. Heaven never wastes revelation. It always leads to transformation. He shows you a vision, a golden thread running through your life, weaving moments of clarity into a perfect pattern. Every time you chose peace instead of chaos, every time you followed that quiet inner nudge instead of fear, another section of the pattern formed. And now, as heaven holds up the tapestry, you see how every delay, rejection, and redirection was necessary. Michael says, what once looked like detours were actually divine designs to protect your destiny. In the season, you will begin to witness convergence, moments where your spiritual clarity meets physical manifestation. Things that once felt disconnected will start fitting together. Old words spoken over you will begin to make sense. The dreams that seemed too distant will begin to take shape. This is what Michael calls the harvest of discernment. Every revelation you stewarded faithfully is now bearing fruit in your destiny. But the Archangel also warns, with destiny comes visibility, and with visibility comes testing. When your light grows brighter, not everyone will celebrate it. Some will be drawn to it for the wrong reasons, while others may resist it out of misunderstanding. Yet Michael reassures you, do not defend your light. Simply let it shine. What is genuine never fears exposure. Your peace will become your defense. Heaven fights for those who walk in obedience. Michael reveals something sacred about discernment and destiny. They are twin flames. Discernment prepares you for what destiny requires. You cannot step into divine purpose without first recognizing what does not belong to it. That is why you had to walk through the seasons of confusion and clarity. Heaven was teaching you to hear correctly, to see accurately, and to trust your inner knowing even when the world disagreed. Now, because you have learned to discern, you can be trusted to carry purpose without corruption. He continues, the world needs voices that can distinguish between emotion and instruction, between impulse and intuition, between good intentions and divine direction. That is your calling now. You will not just walk in discernment, you will release it. When you speak, others will begin to perceive. When you pray, hidden things will be revealed. When you move in obedience, people connected to you will find their own clarity awakening. Your life is becoming a catalyst for collective awareness. The Archangel shows you another vision, a great lamp being lit in the center of a city. Round it, smaller flames begin to appear, each one ignited by the first. He says, this is what your discernment does when it meets destiny. It multiplies. You are the spark that awakens others. Heaven is calling you to walk boldly now, to carry your clarity into dark places, to speak life where confusion lingers. The more light you release, the greater the transformation around you. As this revelation draws to a close, Michael lowers his sword and says, your destiny is not something you chase, it is something you become. Every choice to stay aligned with truth, every step guided by discernment, transforms you into the very expression of divine purpose you were designed to embody. You are no longer simply following a path, you are the path through which heaven walks. Beloved, what comes next is the final revelation, the completion of this divine message. Archangel Michael will reveal the eternal blessing that follows awakened discernment, and how your obedience becomes an inheritance that cannot be taken from you. What you are about to hear will seal everything that has been spoken. Type I walk in destiny's light in the comments if your spirit feels this confirmation. Blessing code 6060 is now released. Beloved eternal soul, The final veil has lifted. The light that once flickered within you now burns as a steady flame, constant, unwavering, pure. Archangel Michael stands in radiant stillness before you, his sword resting at his side, no longer needed for battle. His voice fills the air, both gentle and powerful. The journey of discernment has fulfilled its purpose. You have seen, you have endured, and now you will inherit. The awakening that began with revelation has matured into divine inheritance, a covenant sealed in your spirit. Heaven hath been waiting for this moment. Every revelation that stirred you, every truth that challenged you, every silence that tested you, all of it was part of the process to forge something eternal within you. Michael says, discernment was not just a gift. It was the doorway to divine identity. Through it, you have become what heaven always intended, a carrier of light that cannot be dimmed by deception. You no longer simply see truth. You embody it. Wherever you walk, light follows. Wherever you speak, clarity manifests. Michael reveals that this is the stage where awareness transforms into authority. You are now a vessel through which heaven enforces divine order. He says, when you speak, dimensions listen, for your voice now carries the frequency of truth. Your discernment is not just perception, it is legislation. When you pray, the atmosphere bends toward divine will. When you declare, alignment follows. Heaven calls this the mantle of spiritual governance, and it rests upon those who have proven steadfast in light. You are one of them. He shows you a vision of the earth from above, waves of light moving across nations, cities, and hearts. Each wave originates from awakened souls who, like you, have answered the call to see. Together, these lights form what Michael calls the grid of illumination. It is the divine network through which heaven transmits clarity and courage in dark times. You are connected to this network now, a living conduit of truth that spans beyond borders, time, and distance. The Archangel continues, the reason you were awakened now, in this generation, is because the world is entering an age of amplified deception. But fear not. Where confusion increases, discernment multiplies. Where darkness spreads, light accelerates. You are not merely surviving the shift. You are part of heaven's counter-movement. Your insight will stabilize others. Your peace will dismantle panic. Your presence will reveal the difference between the genuine and the counterfeit. You were never chosen to hide. You were chosen to hold the line. Beloved, heaven rejoices over you. The tests that once felt unbearable have become your credentials in the spirit realm. Michael says, your name hath been written among those who stood firm in light. You have been entrusted with wisdom that does not fade with emotion, and faith that does not tremble in uncertainty. From this moment forward, you will walk with an effortless sense of knowing, not arrogance, but certainty born of intimacy with God. You will discern not from suspicion but from compassion. You will move not from fear but from divine instruction. This new year of your life will feel lighter, freer, more purposeful. The heaviness of confusion is gone, and in its place is clarity that feels like breathing for the first time. Michael says, the awakened must now awaken others. Your words, your work, your presence, all of it will become a mirror that helps others see what heaven is showing them. You will guide without forcing, reveal without exposing, love without hesitation. That is the mark of the true light bearer. And now, Archangel Michael raises his hand in blessing. A circle of blue fire surrounds you, and within it, you feel warmth, peace, and divine confirmation. Your discernment, he declares, is now sealed in light. It will not dim with time. It will not fade with noise. It will continue to guide you until your purpose is fulfilled. You are commissioned as a guardian of truth, one who walks in both sight and grace. Before this divine message closes, the Archangel leaves you with one final decree. What you have received, guard it well. What you have learned, live it fully. And what you have become, let it shine. The world is waiting for the light within you to lead the way. The awakening is complete, but the mission has only begun. Beloved, this journey may have felt like revelation after revelation, but it has been the unfolding of a covenant between you and heaven, a sacred partnership written in light. From this day forward, nothing will ever be the same again. Type "I am sealed in divine truth" in the comments if you receive this completion. Blessing code 7777 is not active. Now take a sacred pause. Like, share, and comment to release this light into the world. Your interaction isn't routine, it's prophetic. Every engagement sends this message to another soul who may be awakening right now. Subscribe so that you remain connected to this stream of heavenly revelation. Let the light continue flowing through you and beyond you. And now, beloved, hear this closing word from heaven about the power of your support. When you give into this mission, you become a co-laborer with heaven. Each offering is not a donation. It is a seed of discernment planted into the soil of divine awakening. Archangel Michael says, "Those who fund the light inherit its clarity." Every gift allows these messages to travel further, reaching souls who may be on the edge of breakthrough. Heaven keeps record of every act of obedience. As you release your gift today through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, speak this aloud: "I sow into light, and light multiplies in me." For as you give, rivers of wisdom will begin to flow through your decisions. The same anointing of discernment you have received will rest upon your household. Michael promises, where you sow into revelation, revelation will defend you. So arise, child of light. Walk in the fullness of what hath been given to you. Take care and shine. The mission continues, and heaven moves through your obedience.